fight the power like BITCHUTE.
What's the status, 3?
I'm good, just making the world a better place, that's all.
Everything not Illuminati, everything not an evil plot. Everything not the black boule. Sometimes people just get shot, caught up in a random act of violence. Murder over dumb shit. Everything is not connected. Some things are, but you bugging. You taking it too far. Stop staring up at space. Pay attention to life on Earth. You worried about the wrong things. Let's talk legislation. All these laws changing. Foreign bankers. Let's talk proposition. 37, let's practice the First Amendment. She say she love when I speak my truth. Oh yeah, she searched for me her whole life. I tell her, go ahead, keep searching, cause you ain't never gonna find. Never with my balance, my vibration, I resonate. My pull is magnetic, I'm attractive, but I give more than I haul. Get some 350s, 9 millis, Stendo 47s. They want us to all disarm, but we ain't giving up our weapons. No, it's the USA, motherfucking USA, the US of A. We're black is beautiful, black is powerful, and we all here to stay. Right here in the United States, motherfucking USA, the US of A. Look, we are all beautiful, all powerful, all one human race. Big up to sister and brethren around the globe. The sleeping giants ever woken. Light to us is like Play-Doh. We just shape the shit how we want it. Come graduate from that old school. This is higher learning. We past that. Take a leap of faith and just let go. We waiting for you in the aftermath. Behind the wizard's curtain. This ain't Kansas for certain. We live and live in color. Backstage at the Truman Show. Everything not 3 dimensions. There's so much more to be seen. Open up your third eye, or you gon' miss everything. Then in the middle of all this, I got people with larceny in their heart for me. I must hold down the fortress, stay alive and stay out the penitentiary. Better wisely choose your battles. Try not to think so small. It's a big psychedelic picture. Let it turn your hatred to love, maybe not though. 350s, 9 millis, Stendo 47s. They want us to all disarm, but we ain't giving up our weapons. Fuck no, it's the USA, motherfucking USA, the US of A. We're black is beautiful, black is powerful, and we all here to stay. Right here in the United States, motherfucking USA, the US of A. Look, we are all beautiful, all powerful, all one human race. One love, one love.
One love, one love. What's good today? Peace, Dom. Always good to see Dom come through. Just getting a few things together here. Come on. The Book of Giants. This don't look like the Book of Giants. No wonder you didn't answer me. I'm muted up. I said, hey, Dom, how's everything? And I'm like, oh, okay.
Good job.
I got this book called Archons, Hitting Rulers Through the Ages. It's a good book, but it's more like dogma and stuff. It has some good things in it. It's all books. Hey, Danny Skylark. How would you make the world a better place? 33 things to do to make the world a better place. Advocating for positive change, participating in volunteerism, and challenging your negative thoughts. That's a major one. Challenging your negative thoughts. Some people project. There's a lot of finger pointers. I'm just so glad when I was 14, I had that lady, Miss L, I'll never forget her, sat me down and changed my whole perspective on the, I was a finger pointer myself. I realized it's all me. Can everybody hear me clearly?
I can hear you, Charles.
I was going to put for the title, Haters and Lovers, but these YouTube streets, you never know what you'll get. Yeah, this was I finally found a full picture of this thing. I forgot the name, but it's their cosmology. I forgot the name of it. They're an Asian tribe, if I'm not mistaken. This picture. Actually, this isn't the full one, I don't think. But what is it? The Meldarin or Mel? I don't know. I gotta look it up. Meldarin cosmology, peacefuls and tools. I mean, pretty much as usual, you know. What's on your mind, Dom? What do you think? You have anything you feel as though is important for people to hear? Everything you always say, in my opinion.
I'm following the conversation. I'm going based on your title, Haters and Real, and I think you just put clarity to what actually you were trying to go with it. So I'm just following along right now, Charles.
Yeah, there's a few things that bother me about, but I've come to the realization that is it really worth my energy to what's the word I'm looking for? Is it really worth my energy to or give people what they want? They want reactions out of Chuck. And I think some people, they try their hardest to press buttons, but at one point they almost got me. But I managed to control myself.
Did they get you or did they entertain you?
Pretty much it turned into entertainment.
It always is. Hopefully they're entertaining themselves while they're doing it. Most people do it unconsciously. They do it consciously, that's a different game. But most people do it unconsciously.
That's the word I was looking for. Why should I waste my energy entertaining their ignorance? But when I can just put my energy towards people who, truly show love and put my energy towards positive things. Or, people are probably like, well, what's positive, right?
But could that be an attraction, a polarity attraction? If somebody's looking for love, then wouldn't you have to get the opposite of it?
Yeah, it always works like that. I've noticed, like when it comes to polarity, one can't exist without the other or be noticed without the other. Because without hate, what's love? You wouldn't know. Sometimes people can show tough love. It could be because they care. They're going to show anger, and people call it hate, but it's really just tough love. So love can come in many forms.
But what would be the medium, the middle way between those polarities?
Well, in the middle of love and hate would be more or less the gray area or balance where
True.
you're at. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe.
There's probably many ways. Yeah, there's probably many ways, Charles, but if you can find a couple at this moment. Grounding is one, observing is another. Indifference, you can even use the word indifference once in a while. People wave back and forth. It's like a sine wave, but there's that moment where you're just kind of balanced. You're observing those things and saying, that's interesting. Oh, so most of my attracting other people that are, let's say, negative or whatever, I'll use the word negative here, is because I'm spending an enormous amount of energy trying to be positive. Yes. To observe those things, to realize, oh, okay, so if I want to be a Christian, well, now you're going to get the ones that actually don't want to be a Christian. This is how people attract each other. It's when you no longer want to participate in one side or the other, you just observe both. You can participate in both if you want, but that's challenging for most people to entertain two different ideals at once.
That would be like opposites attracting.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so. And the other one is there probably to help you, whether they're aware of it or not, to better yourself and vice versa. Again, it's a concept of yin and yang, positive and negative, feminine and masculine. Again, whoever we are, we're those things. We're in the center of those things. But we play this game by giving a concept of duality.
Because sometimes I look at polarity coming from one source, and like even electricity, right? When it comes from the generator, I don't know how generators fully work, but I look at it as one piece of energy, and in order for it to go from one place to another, you have to have the positive and negative, the in and out, the split of the source to so it can travel. But
You need conduits, you need carriers. Generators also have a step up, a step down process to it. Again, these are just small words to add to it. So like, when you look at positive and negative, like electricity, you're talking about, like, say, electrical, you also have the grounding part. You need all the different conduits. You need machinery, you need us.
That's well said, Marcel. Marcel said telling someone the truth and trying to help them hurt sometimes, which the truth does hurt. But if someone doesn't change or wants to listen, I'm pulling my hands and energy away from those people.
But who's the one that should be truly listening? We hear
So,
each other. Well, whatever that is, the truth is very objective. The truth could literally just be many variations, or somebody might call it deception. To truly understand the truth, you must understand the deception and realize, aren't they the same? I get it. Anybody can say the word, I know the truth. I know the truth. But what would you do with that information? And how would you share with somebody else? This is the friction that we do among ourselves. We use words to try to describe something. Again, it's not to say it's positive or negative. It's just it is. It feels good and it sounds good when we say the word truth. No different. Somebody might be affected when they hear the word, well, that's evil, that's wrong. No, okay. So I guess to play the game that wrong, therefore somebody has to participate with the ideal of what's right. I want directions. I don't want positions. Right and wrong is about a position. I want directions. That's just me talking out loud. And once I have that running in my vessel, therefore then it'll lead me that way. But when people want right or wrong, then they're going to play the game. Well, that's a lie. That must be the truth. Oh, okay. Then you have to double check if you choose to do that. Okay, so how does the energy with that particular word? And then you realize it doesn't resonate. It's just a word that we use. Other people don't want to be told what to do. They want to hear each other. Now, unfortunately, when you meet people at a certain age, they've already been conditioned. Now you have to go back and to ask a child, do you want to be told what to do? What does that mean? Or do you want to be conditioned? Do you want to be programmed? Well, probably not. I said, well, then you have to give them what's the opposing of that. Many people don't check on themselves when they say words like, I know the truth. What does that mean? Are you true to the word truth? What might serve one person in that given moment might be what people might be saying is truth, but that's one moment. How does that apply in another moment? And how does that apply to another being that's never experienced any of those things, let alone observe those things? Usually it doesn't. This is how we end up going from the concept, it's only a concept, free will, to posting forcing the will, or entertaining the will, or consuming the will. Like, there's many words to describe these things. Because if it was all about just one particular way of doing things, then why do we have a variations of numbers, let alone colors, let alone words, letters?
what what I might think is truth, unless it's factual, but even then, like we were talking that day, the sky is blue. Well, what's blue? So many different languages and ways to express something. Why is the sky blue? That's one of the biggest questions I always had.
Why is everything on the most things on the earth giving the illusion that it's green? Especially when people start doing certain substance and you realize, oh, I'm seeing different colors, because we're seeing a constant. And what's persistent is what people might call reality, or they'll call it truth, or they might even call it a deception. Again, we're just using words. And to force another go ahead, Charles. Right?
No, I said sorry about that truck. It was like,
It's okay. You're not driving it, are you? I got planes flying over top of me, actually. Of course, that's its own conversation. How does those particular noise affect us, whether it's a truck or a plane? It will reveal us. Some people get disturbed by a train. Some people get disturbed by hearing a truck, and there might be some validity to that. They might have a certain type of tonality that affects them. This goes back to having a receptive mind opposed to just having an open or closed mind. Person that keeps preaching to themselves over and over again about what is truth, they're really forming another dogma. But they should be able to challenge that for themselves. And if they do, then the question would be, then why are we sharing this out loud? Am I just sharing information? Sure. How many people would want to really learn how to be a trillionaire? Most people would want to be a trillionaire, but how to learn to be one. Two different things going on at that point. Understanding what is truth and know the energy of truth are two different things. Saying the word truth is like saying, I know God. That could be speaking in vanity.
What does that mean, speaking in vanity?
You're speaking on behalf of something that there's no way you can actually prove it to another person. So when somebody says to me, Dominic, I know God, I said, yeah, okay, but you could speak in vanity. You could be speaking in vanity. Why? You could speak on some entity that does or does not exist. At that point, we could be making shit up, which most dogmas are. When I say making shit up, I mean, like, how does that serve Charles or Dom to know whether or not what the shape of the earth is or isn't? Most people don't want to be lied to, but then again, that would imply that you know what lying is. Then it's wordsmith that people should actually practice if that's their suit. Other people want to play with arts, like I want to be able to play with different colors so I can create something, and then hopefully somebody else might see it differently. I said, of course, that's a given that somebody's going to see it differently. It's when somebody's trying to convince them what they've seen. That doesn't work unless you've been programmed, and then you're having the illusion that you're seeing it the way other people see it. When people are saying, Charles, I'm just playing with this a little bit. When people are doing the concept by what other people might perceive as haters, what is that really saying about the individual? That's something for them to figure out. When they don't agree with something of somebody else, what somebody else says, what does that say about them? Have they made themselves so righteous that they think they know all the answers? I have possibilities when it comes to other people and how I perceive things, but what I know of myself, that is something I have to be true with or be at least honest.
Hey, peace, London. How's
So, Marcus,
everything?
I was just playing with the word truth. That's all.
All right. I was listening. Should I say London or King James? King London. The truth comes in many ways, whatever that might be.
Mm-hmm. And this little minion deception comes with it too.
Like Christians say, Jesus is the truth and the only way. That's true to them, not to me.
Well, at that point, Charles, if you really want to be compassionate to other people, you put yourself aside and you can ask questions. This is how we benefit each other by saying, okay, so you've just told me Jesus is the way and the truth. So can you break it down out loud? Because it benefits them to hear themselves talk. For me to actually be the opposing side, I said, I don't even have those thoughts. So I'll entertain it. But unfortunately, most people will say, Dominic, if I have no thought of those things, why would I have those conversations? I said, because you're a self-fucking absorbed piece of shit. Now, I'm just using a little bit of a harsh word, so people maybe will wake up and realize how much they lack attention within themselves. To be of service to others means that you have to somewhat not make it about you. But for most people, they've been driven. It's all about me. So that's why they say shit like that. Well, Jesus is the way. I said, so what else is the way? Fiat currency? The car that you need? What else is the way? I got to make sure I have some entity that I can't really confirm one way or the other in my back pocket. Oh, okay. We can entertain ideal that there's giants, there's been other realms, the Earth's surface and all that. We can entertain those ideals. But to prove it, how would that serve if me and Charles decided to go high enough and realize, something is triangle. Now, how the heck do we convince the billions of people here? It would be a self-gratification story. And that's what most of us do on these. Go ahead.
I always like say now is, to me, like, if something is like really true, I really don't think it needs much convincing, to resonate.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're using the word true at that point opposed to truth. So like Charles and me and you both know that we commit, I'm using hypotheticals, but commit a crime. We talk like criminals. We're being true. The hypocrite is the one that says, well, I'm being honest. But meanwhile, didn't you just tell me the other day there that you actually try to work around your tax system and all that? I said, well, that's different. I said, well, then fuck, everything's different then at that point. That's like talking to a child. Oh, I'm a vegetarian. I said, vegetarian means that you eat a certain diet all the time. Oh, no, I'm a vegetarian on a Monday. That's what they think is true to themselves in that moment, which is some validity to it. It's like when people debate each other with meat eaters opposed to vegetarian. My first question is not about to defend or attack one. I said, okay, what type of meat do you eat? Domestic or wild? But most people are too busy trying to prove a point opposed to sharing a point with each other. That's how we help each other grow. We don't help each other grow when we denounce each other.
Right.
But again, that's what most people aren't coming onto these communities to grow. That's why they're easily manipulated. They do it to themselves. Whoever the elites are, they're not even doing none of this stuff. Let the masses do it to themselves. They're going to worry about the color of their skin. And we tell them, somebody tells them they're black or white, they believe they're actually black or white opposed to your different shades. Yeah, but I'm black. I said, no. Whoever told you you're black? My parents. I said, well, your parents did teach you how to breathe? Well, no. I said, they're probably asleep like everybody else here. Now, I get it. We're going to use words to maybe distinguish each other by label and all that. I said, well, then how do I distinguish a black phone then? How do I talk about the black magic then? Because you're thinking you're black or that person thinks he's white. And then people reinforce, well, he's white. I'm like, the sky is blue, but that's from a perception. So where do I see a person that's white? People don't question themselves enough inside. But they'll do a lot of finger pointing and backbiting and all that. I said, how does that serve energetically? It doesn't.
I I got this this picture. It's a first proof that we're on a ball. This was sent to me by an explorer that went to the South Pole.
Mm-hmm.
And actually it was taken by one of NASA's, they finally were able to hover under the globe and take a picture. This is the guy, he's at the South Pole. On the bottom of the globe.
So what's actually funny? The fact that the picture, or the fact that they're mocking the ideal that they're going to work with the ideal that we've told you what things are, or what you assume. And what's really the mockery? What is the mockery? Yeah.
I seen this picture. I couldn't help but laugh because it is like mockery.
Sure it is. It's like when people do avalanche, they're trained that, if you want to find out what end you're on, you kind of have to spit. because then you'll know what direction to start digging, what direction not to dig. So now at that point, what is north and south? Is north and south the way they depict it, or is north and south up and down and east and west that swings back and forth? It could be east and west. Again, let's play the ideal that this is a disk of some sort. And people have speculated, the ones that go into deep states, that there's other planes. How does it serve the average person that lives in New York or Chicago? It doesn't. This is for the few. It could be millions of people that entertain this stuff. You know, but then they make movies, you know, the ice wall. You know, are they giving messages to each other? There is an ice wall. Maybe there's different bodies of waters. You know, most of us, do we really understand how clouds work? Do we really understand how air works? Go ahead.
Clouds were like formed from evaporation of water, right? Certain gases, and because the clouds are like a form of a gas, right, from the water, if I'm not mistaken. So I always wondered how these clouds hold the water, and then what is containing the water within the cloud and then letting it go. And I don't know how the clouds work. Come to think of it now, it's almost magical when you think about it, how the cloud obtain that water like a sponge, and then at a certain point it just lets it go.
But now if all of a sudden somebody came around and said, all that information, Charles, that we just got was from written work, everything that you've been told, how do we tell you to delete all of that? See how quickly people will start defending. Yeah, but I went to university. Oh, I read a book. Oh, dumb, but this is the way it is. So then that's part of the anchoring going on here. The open and closed mind, the zeros and ones, is to anchor you here. Dare not ever challenge that. Most people don't want to challenge, well, how would that serve me to know, Dom, whether or not the clouds can manipulate themselves? Why would I care about sounds and frequencies? Why would I care whether or not the airplanes are using fuel jet or maybe using nuclear energy? That's why they call it nuclear war. But then again, that's all for here. Now, when people started entertaining the idea that they no longer want to be in this realm, I said, you've never even, circled this realm long enough. And they're not just talking about traveling from one end to another. I'm talking about being in thoughts. Because if it was not that important to be in thoughts, then we have to understand, then we have to come to the realization, then why are we entertained by movies and TV series and all this information that we have on this technology that none of us on the panel, let alone on the chat, fucking created? We are the frogs in the water right now as we speak, but we're also in a vessel. I say the word we're in the vessel. Other people say they are the vessel. That's up to them. They can play whatever game they want to play. But you should be able at least to challenge that.
Peace to Misfit Island, aka Johnny O. Good to see you here, bro. Peace to Crystal, Candy, Kimba, London, everyone, the whole chat. Yeah, Dom definitely does get the mind thinking. I dwell on a lot of, like, if I go back and watch a live stream, especially if I'm stoned, man.
You gotta be stoned.
I think I zone out so much more, go into my own world. I'm very good at that. I could be anywhere and just, it's almost like in the movie 9, those two little twin, the one that would project out its eyes. I think they both did that. I forgot what number they were. I think 4 and 5 or 3 and 4. They were two brothers, and they would project out of their eyes like a projector machine. I don't know if you were here yesterday for these pictures. And I don't know if you ever seen the movie 9, Dom, but let me see where these pictures right here. There's a picture of, I think it's St. Peter's at the Catholic Church there in Vatican City, and this is it. And when I seen this picture, it reminded me of number 1 from the movie 9. Now look at, you see that black thing that's around the guy? Like, it looks like a staff with a hook surrounding the statue.
Am I looking at the Pope? Is that the configuration of the Pope?
See how it's red and then it's like dark, the black part? It reminds me of this. The Pope and this guy look the same to me with the dunce cap. He's got the thing that's surrounding him. Reminds me of the staff this guy's holding. See the staff, and then look at that black thing that's surrounding the statue. It's the same thing as that staff, but they remind me of, I'm not saying they're exactly the same, but when I seen the statue, I said, man, that looks like number 1 from the movie 9.
Well, 9's the energy of spiritual medium material. That's the concept of the phoenix rising. Again, there's energy behind each number.
Because in the movie 9, the guy created 9. First, he created a machine. That's like, it reminds me of AI. And the machine was creating its own weapons, like, and it had like this little piece that it's hard to explain, but the guy took a piece of his soul to create each character. There's 9 of them, and 9 was the last one he created, and then he died because it was the last energy he had left of his soul. And to me, it reminds me of the creator's story of when the creator was bored. Like, the creator knew everything and created a bunch of us, but what the creator didn't add in, I forgot what creator story that was. It wasn't Pangu, but or Pangu, something similar. And the creator created humans, but the thing the creator left out was we were not all knowing. We had to learn to make it more of an adventure. And that creator story, to me, let's see if I can dig it up. It's awesome. It's way better than Adam and Eve's adopting that BS creation story, in my opinion.
Oh, we have words like ghost, G-host. So when you talk about being God, yeah, you're probably an essence, which some people might depictuate as God, that's roaming within the vessel. And we play games. You know, what a better way of having it. You know, let's make AI, we'll call them humans and animals, and we can go in and out of them. But we're not always going to remind ourselves of that stuff. Go ahead, Charles.
I was just saying, peace to Hurricane JW. Yeah, 9 is a good movie. It's one of my favorites all time. And I was watching Citizen Man a few days ago, and this is where I screenshotted this. He put together the Earth, Wind, and Fire cover with the. I thought he did a good job putting the level, the square and compass together, which also would represent. It's the same thing as the Pisces fish in the center, the Masonic symbol, or the vagina, the vortex that would be at the center, where all elements mix and meet. A portal. The eyes are shaped like a vagina. They're portals. The mouth is shaped like a vagina on the side, you know? Just same All portals seem to be shaped almost the same. What the heck is my favorite picture? As you can see here, with the square and compass, if we put the sun and moon, that was awesome. Come on, picture upload. Here it is. So at the center of this, you could put the Masonic symbol too. You see what I mean? This is my favorite. You see the serpents? Anyway. Oops. A skith. Am I saying that right? Peace and a K, a skith or a scythe. I forgot what Saturn carries. I think it's a skith. Who knows about Heaven and Hell, the clothing line? I never knew. One, the CEO and creator of this clothing line, back in middle school, people were wearing it. He lived in Hartford, Connecticut. I always thought it was New York. They got a big mural in the downtown in the city that was spray painted, and it has this symbol. I never knew he was from Connecticut, the creator of Heaven and Hell clothing. Anyway, fun fact. If people have a big warrior spirit, man, and you know, Hurricane JW is a very good. I like his streams he has. I'm not just saying that because he's here. You know, he has the same passion I do. To want to see change for the better, but I'm not dying. Let me not say that. I want to see what this Trumper Dumper is gonna do. He made so many promises. It's gonna be hilarious when he keeps none of them. For some reason, I feel like if I'm wrong about everything I say, I'll own up to it. But I feel as though this go around with Trump, somebody had mentioned if Trump gets in, considering he's a felon, because, you know, if that's the case, any one of us could run for president. And I think we should run for president. I don't think this time, you know, I want to see Trump do good for the masses, right? Or I was going to say the people. But for the most part, we know that won't happen. Passion isn't emotion.
So Charles, when people say Jesus is the way, how do you feel about that?
Shit. When you say that, I think, well, what's the way? What is Jesus' way? I'm not just going to agree with it. What do they mean by that? You know, what is Jesus? What's the path or the way he's talking? Because I'm not just.
So correlate that with Trump is the way. Just change the word to Trump now. To inquire for one person, you know, what does it mean, Jesus or Trump? Like, am I to have some outside thing that's going to govern me? You know, it's a question. I'm not here to say it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's a question. So if somebody says Jesus is the way, I say, okay, is he doing your laundry? Is he paying your bills? Well, no. I said, okay, so that's hive mentality. And that makes you probably feel good. That's why I said feel. So now when somebody says about Trump, you could say the same thing about when people were in Italy with Berlusconi or Putin. Again, that's the divide and conquer game going on within oneself. So how does it serve to know Donald Trump becomes the president of a country where it's clearly shown over and over again what presidencies usually do for that country and who they serve? So why would it be any different if another character now becomes president? You know, England does it. Hey, we'll put Thatcher in. We'll put a woman in there. I said, no, the system is still set up the way it is. So why would it change? That's people putting a lot of value into hope, where something that's constantly been showing over and over again, but they're expecting a different result. That's a form of insanity. Now, some people might turn around and say, oh, Dom, if I don't vote for them or don't put any more interest, yeah, you can redirect your energy to something that might actually serve you, and vice versa. You can serve it. Donald Trump does not serve you, and you don't serve him. I'm just using him as an example. In Canada, I could say the same thing about Trudeau. I don't mind entertaining those kind of scenarios, but I already know for me, it doesn't serve me. I've done the investigation for me. If I'm going to be self-absorbed, at least I should at least be the best I can possibly be, opposed to just reacting all the time. I got to vote. Okay, who are you going to vote for? Who are you going to cast your vote to? Okay, towards that individual or the group that's behind them? And who does he serve? Well, he serves the corporation. Oh, then who am I then? Well, you're the product of the corporation. That's under the premise that you think you're the vessel. Then you can play that whole birth control. I mean, not birth control. That's a part of it too. You can play that whole birth certificate game. You can go into Commerce Court and say, I'm a sovereign being. I'm like, okay, so what is a sovereign being when you're in that form? I'm only saying that, Charles, because you brought up Donald Trump. I always find that an entertaining conversation.
It is, because that's about all Trump provides is great entertainment. I'm not saying, you know, he did, in my opinion, 43 years on this plane of existence, as I know of. He did a good job for his 4 years, whatever, even though I think he's just a pawn.
Sure he is.
But I don't have all the answers. How can things change for the better? Like, you know, of course, it starts with self always. As things to change as a whole, I don't even know where to start. You know, I started by trying to speak to people and stuff, but that's a serious battle. And a lot of energy I put into trying to speak to people. It takes a lot of energy and patience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Hurricane JW. If you want to make a track, let me know. I have a few beats. I would love to make a track speaking on the government and stuff. Go ahead, Dom. Sorry.
No, I was going to say change is, first of all, change is constant. Change is always occurring. What people do is they do this illusion. They want to stagnate it. They want to control it. Control is an illusion. You don't control anything. You might actually play with memories. And so I remember that one time I said, where do you get that memory now? Again, change is constant. And until people at least observe that from within, because, you know, wind's always moving, air's always moving, the sun and the moon supposedly are moving, and if they're not moving, something else is moving, or is everything moving? It's just a lot of people aren't truly informed of all the different things that are out there. You know, how astrology works, how the ages work, how your vessel works. So what people do is they get a half-bite piece of information by watching the movie at the beginning, the middle, the end, whatever, and then they figure, I can surmise it by, I have the answer now. I said, that's very delusional at best, but that's very dogmatic too. How would I have the answer when I don't have all the parts? Especially when you're in an age called information. You're just becoming informed. So no longer people can say, well, I didn't know. I said, no, omniscient is an excuse now. You have all kinds of technology, the written work, the spoken work, you have technology to actually move all that stuff around. So you can't use that as an excuse. But then what people quickly do, they bring in one of their dogmas. Well, I know what is right. I'm like, so what, are you going to talk to me about state now and you're going to tell me capitalism is better than communism without talking about how fiat currency works and how military works? Because if you factor all that in, I can make any ism work. But then again, I have to factor in how do you have to also program people? You got to play with their behavior, their personalities. First question to ask a person, so are you the vessel? I am. I said, oh, I am. Okay, so you're playing that premise. So I already know there's the program, you have to go in that direction. So therefore, you're going to say you're the vessel, you're the electrician, you're the plumber, you're a father. Those are all personas. Those are masks. That's not who you are. But for some people, they'll quickly defend it. I say, okay, at that point, there you go. Spend one lifespan doing whatever you want. Maybe you can get into retirement, retarded, whatever. Follow one of the dogmas. Play all those games. But then they'll make it about me. I said, well, that's how funny it is. You're so self-absorbed. And once you find for the first fucking time, you should have challenged yourself and somebody else is just challenging the words, you get all upset. And I'm not talking about you, Charles, but we all do it in some way. And I know the shit that I go through. But to share this on a public platform, the shit that I go through, most people would fucking be embarrassed to be in my presence because they wouldn't know how to defend me then. I said, this is not about defending me. It's about becoming aware of me. You know, the United Nations runs this realm, but is there puppets above them? Maybe. But when people turn around and talk about nationalism, when it clearly shows that's been a global movement for who knows how many decades now, worrying about a guy that was president at one time, that was hoisted up by McMahon and all the other characters, Obama when he was president, how many trillions of dollars supposedly went disappearing? I said, that's a distraction. He's there to serve the people. That was in the old days. Today, he's serving corporations. And what is corporations? Usually there's probably generational wealth behind all of that. Is that a bad thing? No. Is it an orchestrated thing? Yes. It's only a bad thing because you're at the back end of it. But if you were raised in that environment, it would be business as usual. This is where people have to play both sides. Did or didn't they go to the moon? Are the elites caring or not caring about us? But that would take a person to actually humble the self opposed to being fucking led by it.
I think I found you, Hurricane JW, on BandLab. Try to send you a link. So I got a bunch of tracks lined up. I just want to lay some verses down. But yeah, politics, I like to call them Don Politricks. A pile of tricks. It's all illusions. They create the hero and the villain. They tell people what they want to hear, and that's all it buys them time. Every single minute, second, week, day, you name it. They're so good at herding the sheep that all they got to do is tell us what we want to hear, and people fall for it.
Charles, when somebody calls an animal a dog and then give it a name, is the illusion the animal or is it us that's giving the illusion? Because does the dog know it's a dog?
No.
Okay. So when you talk about government,
the dog asks with buttons, "Why am I a dog?" Shit, you're not.
It might respond to sounds and frequency. So when we say, or I hear somebody say, the government is playing the illusion on us, that's very erroneous. The illusion's coming from within. You've chosen to play the game that you think that
Well,
somebody should be governments, let alone religious. To denounce something without understanding it is another game that people play with each other. Governments do not hurt you, let alone help you. Now, humans might play a role in that, but then you would have to realize, are they caught up in their illusion? Yes, they are.
you're right about that. It's not the government, it's the individuals in the government.
It's never the government. It's just humans, human beings, actually. So behind religion is humans. Behind government is human. Behind commerce is human. People that play a flat earth, globalists, it's humanists. So for them, they have the illusion that they're outside when it clearly shows you nothing more than inside. Now, with the people that talk about doing astral traveling, I said, now we're talking about your essence. Did your body go with you? Well, no. So you left your suit when you did astral traveling. Yes. That's why when people watch a movie, they play this game on. I think I'm there. Well, then that would question you, are you here? Are you just receivers? I get where you're coming from, Charles. You know, that is part of the, if there is a problem, that is part of the problem. The people that think that they hate governments when they clearly don't understand how the system works. Now, it might not be favorable for them. I said, well, then that's a different type of question. So now we can isolate that and say, okay, so are you caught up in your likes and dislikes? Well, Dominic, I don't judge. I said, fuck, are you sure? Your likes and dislikes will reveal that you do judge. But are you judging with awareness by getting all the factors involved? Well, that's of no interest to me. I said, oh.
That's a good one.
Mhm.
A lot of people blindly do things they don't realize, you know.
Mhm.
I was there at some point in my life. I blindly did things until people pointed them out. I wasn't even self-evaluating. Didn't even realize it until someone pointed it out. I'm like, damn.
Well, you could be feeding the system right now, Charles. You want to produce music, you enjoy doing all that kind of stuff. You could be directly or indirectly feeding a system that actually what some people might perceive as harm. Well, that's not what I'm trying to do, Dom. I said that you could say that. I said, but again, we have a very narrow perspective and all its parts. It's easy to say I see the big picture. I said, are you sure? There's many variations in that picture. That's if people are willing to entertain that and they want to expand the mind, opposed to just making it open and close. Even receptive has this narrowness in it, or limitation, I guess, at that point. It's like when people say words like, what's the point? I said, those are the people looking for answers. What's the point? Well, there's many points. Which one serves you at any given moment? Well, Dom, I don't think that way. I said, you just kind of revealed how the indoctrination of schooling works on you then. Should we blame people that are trillionaires, and should we blame people that rule tons of land, especially when you realize how much responsibility that individual has to take care of all of that? I'm sorry, I can't take care of every human being on the face of this earth or whatever. But people quickly make that, well, it's Jesus's responsibility. Oh, maybe the Muslims will do that, or maybe Buddhism will teach all of that. Maybe those are all possibilities.
Oops. Yeah, Anna K. I'm trying to find the video now where Bunny the dog, they teaching this dog, Dom, how to speak with buttons, right? And the dog was asking its owner, why am I a dog? And it got to a point where the dog would sit in the mirror and stare at itself. It wouldn't eat. And it just wanted to know, why am I a dog? And that's wild. Teaching a dog a language to communicate and using buttons. And finally, dogs probably been wondering what they are. Just because we can't communicate with their language doesn't mean they're not aware and they're not questioning things. People think animals just exist and they have no soul. I disagree with that. I think animals are conscious in a way. Just because we can't communicate don't mean they're not conscious. Well, because if I'm speaking to someone in that's Japanese and we can't communicate through language, I don't mean that the Japanese person isn't conscious. We just don't understand each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, Charles, I know people struggle with this, but because they've never really went inwards with this. Living beings in all different types of forms. To think that a particular example, you're using the dog, that could be a particular living being inside of that. No different. Not all living beings that are in the human form can run a certain way, let alone speak languages. That's kind of a given. So to be able to communicate with trees, communicate with liquids, not everybody's able to do that. Again, this is where you play the ideal of karma. You know, what have you done or didn't do in a previous lifespan that got you another reward? You know, it could be a blessing or a curse. So is there dogs that are able to mimic the people that we'll call them owners and do skateboarding? Yes. But does that mean all dogs can do that? No. Using an example to prove or denounce the whole is a very erroneous view. But to look at it as that's interesting, and then you start cross-relating, well, not all humans can speak Mandarin. Not all humans can speak French. Now, some people can say, well, I can condition them. I said, to what length? Where there's other people, they know how to rap naturally. Other people have to be conditioned. This goes back to practicing it physically opposed to visualization. Not everybody is created that way. You know, it's.
I'm okay.
When DJ Spin came in and said, "What up, though?" It made me think of a Dark Chameleon, man. Salute and rest in peace to Dark Chameleon. He used to come in and be like, "What up, though?"
Charles, I'm going to pose, do you think hate can be done out of ignorance?
Yeah, that's why a lot of racist people hate, because it's ignorance. They were raised, a lot of them are raised in it, they know nothing else. So usually when a person doesn't know, you know, it creates ignorance.
So is that a form of conditioning? Is that a form of
yeah.
conditioning?
Yeah.
Okay. So knowing that, then could also love be done out of ignorance?
Yep.
Okay. One's more pleasant, the other one isn't, but they're both still done out of ignorance.
Love could be very unpleasant. Love can be toxic. Shit, anything could become toxic. Especially love.
If you meet somebody that you know they're consciously aware of their hate, let alone consciously aware of their love, those are conscious. Those are strong polarities. And if you're not at that ability, then you have to remove yourself, or they'll know enough to remove themselves. It's usually people that are ignorant out of hate and love that actually bump each other in the dark. You know, they think that they can change each other. So, well, if you're in a state of ignorance, why would you change somebody? That's their role right now. And hopefully they can learn something from it. No different learning love. Love could be in the form of you're going to be challenged within oneself when you see somebody do something or say something that doesn't follow your program. by lashing out, by telling other people, yeah, but I need to give you a hug or love you. Okay. Are you going to ask me first, or are you just going to assume that just because you think it's a pleasantry thing that I should accept it? And vice versa. This is where people don't know their own boundaries at that point.
I pulled it up, Dom, so you can take a little quick look at Bunny the dog.
Bunny dog what? Bunny dog friend. We friend. Bunny dog.
Bunny dog, yes.
Mom is human.
Mom is human. Human, teacher, you.
Beecher is dog.
Teacher is dog.
But I human, yes.
I, human, yes.
They teach the dog to communicate through the buttons. I gotta find the one where the dog is like bugging and asking her, why am I a dog? You know, some people try to say it's all BS, but
Well, there's factors in there. You're doing motions. Also, animals pick up sound. They can even be picking up energy. And, and some people might say, well, dog's not that smart. The dog could turn around and say, well, you're giving me simple questions. What do you expect? Again, it's like talking to a parrot. There is programs going on under that. So the fact that she's talking, who knows, and her tonality might play a major role in that dog being entrained. It's like seals, bears, some things you have to do, unfortunately, to have circus bears, kind of very hideous. Not a lot of it. Unfortunately, most of us, well, can't speak for myself, but a lot of people, they go to a circus. Oh, that's so cute. I say, yeah, but if you know what's going behind the scene, you probably would either never go to the circus or be so embarrassed. But I get it, Charles. You're using a small example to show that another creature can be entrained. I love it. Heaven and hell could be in the same place.
it is. I think heaven and hell is a concept in a book like hell. I remember reading about this the concept of hell. I forgot what chapter it was in the book, the Bible, but it was explaining like infinite torment and suffering, and it was explaining a hook being put through the guy's eye and out the mouth and ripped out, and then it would happen over and over. And it made me think of like a lot of things in my mind and regrets I had, and some I still have, but I'm getting rid of them. And I said, man, I think hell is what you create within yourself when all these regret, when you do wrong and you know it's wrong. A person that has any I don't know what word to use, but a person that has any that isn't crazy will know it'll bother them, and that they did wrong. And that's sort of like a self-punishment that you create when you do something wrong. It'll eat you up. You're creating hell within.
Well, the dog thing you're doing, Charles, and then you flipped up a picture, heaven and hell, and it had a picture of heaven with little, little angel, the little halo, and the other one with devilish wing with the tail. Isn't that the same entrainment that dog's going through, that we're going through right now? And then we put all the little surrounding parameters around it. Even when you say the word over and over again, the word wrong, where when I hear myself, I'm hearing, how does that serve? Each situation, how does it serve? Is it healthy? Is it unhealthy? How does it serve? But when we put the word wrong, it's like disciplining an animal. Eventually that animal is being slowly manipulated through a program, conditioning, hence indoctrination, opposed to throwing in different types of words in there just to challenge it. So in that situation, I hurt myself. How does it serve? I know no longer to go up a ladder without, maybe clipping myself in. That's how I learn. opposed to saying, I just won't do that anymore. I said, no, there might be another situation where I might have to do the exact same thing that was harmful to me. Each given moment is something to learn. But unfortunately, a lot of folks this is what you're going to be. You're going to be a circle. You're going to try to fit that circle into every situation, opposed to no, be very flexible. Hence Bruce Lee, be like water. Water shapeshifts. You know, and then when you're in the mind, you can move around.
It takes shape of its container to water. It takes shape.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Again, these are the words that we say, and we reinforce it when we're with other people. So, oh, yeah, I agree with that. You're wrong. I'm like, excuse me, agree? See it through my eyes. So at that point, I already know I'm talking to somebody that's just parroting words. They're not actually consciously listening from within. Because if they did, I said, then why would you say that? You know, we should be able to challenge each other, but you should be able to challenge yourself first and foremost. And if you're listening within, we're just saying, no, you don't have to waste your energy with that person. He knows what he's doing, or she knows what she's doing, or no, they're so they're so way off. But that's for them to learn. Who am I to correct somebody else's behavior? Especially when they're not even aware that they're being run with behaviors, programs. You know, and then you get other people, they'll use the word, it's demons. Okay, demons, behaviors, parasites, you can use whatever words you want to replace it if it serves you.
Demons, angels, angles.
It's more words that we use, Charles. And then we give meaning to it. How perfect and convenient the English language is, a meaningful language. So they'll give you the word cool. Okay, Charles, somebody just said it's cool. Are they trying to address that? Are jackets cool, or is it cool outside? Now I have to get clarity. Excuse me, sir, what were you trying to say about cool? Yeah, Dom, it's cool outside. Oh, okay, no problem. I wasn't sure if you were talking about my new jacket that I just bought. Oh, that's nice too. Are you using the old definition of nice, or are you using the new version of nice? You know, this is when people start entertaining thoughts before they're spoken or written. I choose to break my silence by talking out loud. You know, this is why when people talk about written work, it's factual. I said, okay, did you experience it or observe it? What do you mean? I said, the written part is fucking so down to fucking level of fucking awareness. And how did you read it? Left to right, right to left?
Up and down.
Up or down, down and up? Did you read it when it was Mercury retrograde? Did you read it in a different age? Was the person totally fucking high when they were being downloaded that information? You know, all possibilities, of course. But for most people, Dom, I need an answer. I said, you're going to limit yourself to fucking questions and then answers only? Fuck, how are you going to be that receptive when you're thinking, well, there's only one way or another? Really? Cognitive dissonant folks, and the ones that are just a little bit about them are fucking asleep.
Yeah, I'm never satisfied. Not never, but for the most part, a lot of answers I receive is not enough, man. It's not satisfying because there's so much more than the answers I get.
Yeah, especially if you have a prayer, like the concept of prayer, inquiry. You inquire inwards, whether it's for yourself or other, and all of a sudden you're in that state of peace, silence. If you do a little meditation, you listen, and something will resonate within you with one of your receivers. Yeah, Dom, you don't need to know that right now. Oh, okay. But thank you for asking. But most people, what they try to do is they want to force their will. Yeah, but I want the answer. Well, then why the fuck did you ask me the question then? You already know what you're going to do. Then shut the fuck up and do it. At that point, that person is being clever with themselves. I don't want to get caught up in their energy. And I usually use that tone of voice because I tell them, I said, you got bitten here. So don't waste that energy towards me anymore. It just doesn't serve. But then you get the ones that are pretty fucking stupid. They keep challenging me. I'm like, fuck, you're lucky we're on a public platform, because privately I'd fucking go upside you and downside you for fucking pure giggles and kicks. Because my question is, have you done that to yourself? Well, no. So then you're playing fire. Yeah, it could be any other element personally, but for some people, they're playing with fire.
Touching that hot stove.
Yeah, and then they say they learned something. I'm like, really? You did learn something? Are you sure? What do you mean? I said, you told me last week you actually got frostbite. I said, so what did you really learn? I learned my hand needs to be protected. Okay, well done. But it doesn't mean everybody has to experience that now. You'd hope in a tribe that, I use me and you, Charles, as the example. I might even use this before here, where we've just found a wild berry that our tribe have never seen before. So me and Charles, me and you bring it to our tribe leader and say, listen, we just found this wild
Who's
berry.
gonna try it?
What's that?
No, I was just gonna say, bring it to the tribe leader, and they're gonna say, "Who's gonna try it?"
Yeah,
See if it's
well, community. It's the Walking Dead. We're barely surviving. So at this point, Charles, the question would be, which one of us wants to take that berry? Why? Because we're going to honor our tribe. Because if I eat it and say, Charles, I'll take it, then the wise person in the community says, okay, either way, Dom, we're going to celebrate you tonight. What do you mean? If this is a new berry and you live, we know now we have a new berry to eat. But if you die, we're still going to honor you because now we know what not to eat. But for most people, they're so fucking narrow-minded and so conditioned. They think, well, I want to put my hands on the stove too. I'm like, there's already been 3 people that have already put their hands on the stove. You're telling me the rest, 100 of yous, don't want to observe that? But I still want to do it. I said, okay, fill your fucking boots. Put your hands on the stove. You know, how many people would jump out of a plane without a parachute? The ones that did it, thank you very much. I'm sorry that for you, but the rest of us shouldn't have to do that. But for most people, fuck, they would do that. Kind of like when the parents, my mom used to say that. If everybody jumped off of a mountain or a cliff, would you do it too? Well, if you're
people
robotic,
would.
yeah, they
People would
would.
watch them flop on the ground to be like, "Nah, let me do it, man. You did it wrong."
True, Charles. True. I make humor of it because I do a lot of shit that people could look at and say, "Dom, that's peculiar." I said, "Yeah," but I'm being honest with myself. I just don't feel as though I have to always publicly make myself a public display. These other characters that want to say openly, "Oh yeah, I'm going to be your governor. I'm going to be the ruler over your country." Private, publicly, they're probably telling the masses, but privately, they're probably telling their elite friends, "Yeah, this is the Colosseum. We're just going to entertain them. We're going to make promises that we're not going to keep." And then people wonder why America, I'm just using America as an example. If they've kept all their promises, then why is your country constantly going into debt? Constantly, constantly. And I'm not talking about the $30 trillion. I'm talking about when you factor in pensioners. You're like over $300 trillion in the hole. So obviously the system's not working. Or is it working? Because that money must be dispersed to somebody else then. And then, of course, people bring in the word, when they start hearing that, it's not fair. I said, this has nothing to do with fair. Nature doesn't show that it's fair. So why would humans show it otherwise? Is it fair that I was born a certain height, but I have to be over 6'8" or whatever to be a basketball player? Is that fair? No, that's just the way it is. And I'm pretty sure the people that are very tall have their own challenges when they have to go buy shoes and clothes, get into a car that maybe a person like me and Charles can fit more comfortably in. Yeah, but they can afford it. So is it fair that they have to spend more money to buy a car that me and Charles are buying that is not as expensive? Again, that's people that aren't developed emotionally playing the fair and unfair game. And the ones that defend those kind of statements, those are your haters. Well, you don't understand. I said the word gives it away. Understand. Understand yourself. Once you do, then you can have discernment. But again, Charles, I'm just yapping.
That's cool. I'm listening. I wanted to. I don't know why, but I was looking at this video yesterday. And you remember when you were young, them little roly-poly bugs? Them bugs that would roll up. Like, they turn into they roll up, like this guy. Those little bugs I just showed are also like armadillos. They roll up into a little ball. Right? And these little insects here, because I was watching an armadillo, and the guy had one in South Africa, and the little dang thing rolled up into a ball. And I was like, wow, those remind me of roly-polies. That's what I used to call them, these little insects. That had nothing to do with anything.
Well,
It was cool to see an animal and an insect that are the same.
You have great association skills, Charles. Well done. That's great association. Yeah, you're just putting one thing and then you're seeing it in another species that are doing the same thing. No different turtles that go inwards, I guess, in their shell. But yeah, pretty neat.
Armadillos are cool. You ever see a bat? They look like little prairie dogs, or little dogs, wings.
True. There's a lot of fascinating species. I think we're all fascinating, but you know, it's nice when we can point out how animals and insects and all those other kingdoms. But of course, we can always, cliche tag it. Oh, that was just the Big Bang. It just happened overnight. It could have.
The Big Bang. The true Big Bang is when a man and woman come together and when they're making love. To me, that's the real Big Bang of creating life. And I don't mean that to be funny or anything. When a man and woman both have that feeling at the same time, right? That creates life, that electric spark.
Might just say something about the animal kingdom too. When one animal is with another. And of course, you get the occasional one that can actually, it's dual from within. It can reproduce itself. But that puts up the question, then what is life then? I hear those terms, spark of life. But what is life?
Well, what is life? That's right.
I posed it as a possibility as breath, maybe the breath of life.
I always would think, why am I here? What's my purpose? What's the point of life? At a young age, I would say cannot be to be born into this system, handed your reality, get a job for your whole life, and then die, just work your entire life. I just wasn't cool with that. I said, this can't be, especially if there's only 80 years, 90 if I'm lucky, wasted away. Well, that's how I see it. Wasted away working for some job just to maintain. To me, that's all a waste. Life to me is so much more.
It could be wasted energy. It could be. Not taking that away from you, Charles. Obviously, you're sharing. I'm just saying from another person hearing it and I'm interpreting what you're sharing, it could be. I get it. We do spend an enormous amount of energy fueling and sheltering the vessel to a point where some people might perceive that it's a trap or it's useless, but it could be. That's why I can entertain ideas when other people tell me it isn't or it is. I said, I'm saying it could be, so I'm receptive to whatever story that we're going to tell each other.
Yeah, I just, now I see things, differently. Like, how can somebody sit there and tell somebody how they see something? That's why some things aren't debatable, because how can someone debate on how you see things?
They can't. But they'll try. They'll try, and because we're a spoken species, try to debate an animal. Okay. Animals probably looking at you either A, your food, or you don't realize you're near one of my offsprings, and I need to remove you. Especially when people are set in their ways. When somebody's set on their ways, and if they're secure with themselves, they won't debate somebody. Usually people that debate are usually aren't secure with their position. So those are the ones that become like gurus or whatever, the ones that are harmful, meaning that any true guru would ever say, I'm a guru for me, I'm not for anybody else. But the ones that do it, they have their own agenda. If I have enough people around me, then I can give a better false sense of security.
I always, for me, I always preferred being alone, quiet. I wasn't the type to be the center of attention. And still don't want to be the center of attention. I don't need attention that bad. But some people, they love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're a center of attention. You're a center of your attention. It's just once you start expanding that beyond yours, then you have to be very considerate of other people. And some people just don't have those filters. And of course, my question would even be for the people that are being taken advantage of. So where's your boundaries now? When somebody's out of control and they don't have their own established boundaries, you're supposed to be there to double check for yourself. Where's your boundaries? Now some people say, but I'm not here to tell them what to do. I said, no, you're here to tell others where you stand. You got to make sure your aura is strong enough that it's not going to be penetrated by somebody else, either A, trying to challenge you consciously to see if you're going to stay true, or for somebody else that's just basically half asleep or completely asleep. We should be able to get our own attention, Charles. Hence, center of attention. Since self-centered, self-absorbed, hopefully it'll be absorbing of the self. But for most people, a good start is to allow the self to, have some leeway, learn a little bit. That's why most people don't challenge the self. They're too busy nurturing or, babysitting the self. They're letting the child run the household. Those are the ones that are actually doing debates, by the way, Charles. I don't have this type of conversation with them because I already know there's a latent amounts of defense and attack they're going to use. So at that point, we're not actually having conversations or sharing with each other. So too busy prove a point, like as though we're playing a sport and there has to be a winner or a loser. I said, okay, so are we all going to be all-stars or are we all playing children here? Michael Jordan playing against a child would not be a very good entertainment. You'd hope that he would play against other people with the same gifts and abilities, hopefully.
No.
But you did put that as the topic, and I know I've hoarded way too much of me yapping too much here, Charles. You had said something about haters, and of course you didn't use the word lovers, but real. So did you want to share a little bit on that? If you don't mind, Charles.
On the title?
Yeah.
I don't even know why I actually put that, but in my mind, I was trying to understand the YouTube streets a little more.
That's a fun endeavor. Please share.
Just so much chaos, and I don't mean like chaos in a confused state, I just try to understand why so much hate, why so much, not just towards, I'm not saying towards me in general, there's just so much like I think we spoke about before, a while back, maybe last month, on people are quick to focus on the dislikes. Say someone comes up here and somebody doesn't like what they're finding ways of something they don't like about the person, instead of approaching things in a positive light and looking at how looking at things people have in common instead of the negative always first. I think the system kind of trains to look at things in a negative light, you know, instead of looking what, you know, they're quick to say, well, I don't like this and I don't like that. And a lot of energy from these YouTube streets. It's about tearing down, and there's just a lot of illusions people put out. They put that mask on. You could be anything you want here.
Well, more time, most people are reacting. They're not tearing down, Charles. It's a form of racist, what some of those folks are doing, where, you know, I've said openly, I'll entertain ideals. When it comes to somebody's and their makeup, the way they look, the way they talk, that's something they're just born with, or even if they're using it as a mask. But unfortunately, most people don't know the extent of racism. By looking at somebody because they're a different gender, the color of their skin, that doesn't reveal who they are. It reveals who the person that's actually projecting all that information. They've been programmed. Somewhere in their life, they figured that being a certain religion or a certain culture gives somebody the right to say that I'm more superior than you. I said, have you ever tried to push back on that? And not on others. See, they try to push back on others to confirm that program, opposed to challenging the program. This is why people do a lot of defending and attacking. You know, to attack, I'll use me as the example. To attack me, I said, well, who's the me that you're talking to? What story do you know of me? Have I shared those stories with you? Well, no. I said, then what are you attacking? In this case, what are they really defending? They're usually defending something they don't understand. So therefore, they're going to attack something they don't understand. They're not get to know me and say, Dom, then you're just sharing out loud. I said, yes, I am. I said, I'm always there to learn for myself, but I don't always hear people talk this way. So what I do is I become what I want to hear. No different. Somebody else turns around and says, well, there's not enough people out there hating, so I'm going to become that. It's okay. Tell me how that serves you. If they want to, especially when we're on a public platform. Privately, that might be a different type of conversation. I'd say, so how long did your parents fail you? What do you mean? If I'm going to play with the idea of failing, I could also say the word success. So the YouTube is just, these YouTubes are just revealing. Now, for some folks, they're here on YouTube because they're trying to make a living. Unfortunately, YouTubers are like people at a flea market. Whatever's the in thing, they try to sell the same wares, and then everybody at the flea market realizes, why am I not earning money? I said, because you're all selling the same ideals. And then there's other people that get shock value. So when they start backbiting each other, not realizing how the blood that goes to the heart, how that truly affects them. You know, one thing is to talk about somebody that's in the room. You know, Donald Trump, you're here, let's talk about it. But talking about a guy like Donald Trump and he's not here, whether positive or negative, how does that serve? What it really does is it gets more group hive mentality going on. Well, then they must agree with me. I said, none of us have met the character. We've heard about him. We've seen him in a video. But do you truly know who he is? Well, not really. So then why are we talking about him? Well, because I hate government. Oh, so you're talking about the person that represents government. Oh, okay. Interesting. At that point, Charles, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, fuck, that guy's not developed. He's a child still. And when I say child, they're still stuck between the age of 7 and 14. They've never fully developed their emotions. And then a lot of people mask their emotions by becoming more intellectual, or they become like a sociopath or a psychopath. They're not ever actually pushed hard enough on them privately. They'll be like a waterfall. They'll fucking break open like a waterfall. I said, you've been hiding behind your mask the whole fucking time. Which is fine. I say the word fine because it's a fine line.
Between love and hate. Peace, Oama. Good to see you here. I miss Oama coming up once in a while. Peace to Tony Blue Dream. He said, is that the haters logo on the thumbnail? I didn't even look at it like that with the H. That was a good one, man.
Mhm.
The haters heaven and hell logo.
Mhm. But truthfully, who are they really hating? To truly hate another person, you have to really know how to do that with oneself.
Like, people, like, I don't hate anyone that
Hmm.
comes on here because I can't. I don't know anyone. And even if I knew people personally, I highly doubt I would hate anyone. Hate is a strong word. I used to use it blindly a lot. And
Hmm.
I've done so much self-evaluating, but lately in the last year, I've increased it even more to look within myself deeper. And I've also freed myself from a lot of prisons I built up within myself, which lifted so much weight off of me. I feel so much more free. And all along, I don't know, it took so long for me to realize this, but letting go of a lot of things it feels great.
Hmm. And guess who's hanging on to all of that? Oneself. You know, most people think it's other people forcing that upon them. I said, yeah, when you're a child, maybe you might be picking up both in the awakened state and the unknown state, you know, your parents' behaviors and your environment, but they're not challenged that. That's why when I've heard people say, you know, they're healing, I said, so what part is being healed? You know, the experience part or the observing part? Because this is why when certain beings, when they go into a human form, and let's say parents are saying, well, we're going to get a divorce, but we're not going to tell our kids. But then you wonder why your kids are acting out or overeating, because energetically they're picking up that energy. People forget energy, how it works, because if not, then you have to explain, how does the flu come to be? How does cancer get activated when somebody says, oh, I had cancer cells, but then they're no longer activated, but the person in my household, they had cancer. Now, you could play with the idea of the environment, which I'm willing to entertain, but also other things, you know, when we're in the presence of each other, which is environment, obviously, but there's other environments. That's why some people are truly affected in a very harmful way when it comes to Wi-Fi. Now, some people would turn around and say, yeah, well, then if it's harmful, then why isn't the rest of the world care for me? I said, it doesn't work that way. The one is not going to change the whole. It could even be a group of people. It's just the way it is. That's how fiat currency works. That's how air works. That's how a lot of things work. Now, I'm speculating when I say how it works, because dare not me break it down. I'm like, okay, so how would that serve? Especially when I pick up other people, they're not interested in that conversation. What they're interested is, I got a couple hours. YouTube is free. Technically, it isn't. I'm paying for Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll jump on a couple of panels and, you know, disturb a little. Next thing you know, you got 8 or 9 people on a panel, like as though there's fucking 8 or 9 people at a restaurant and it's a noisy fucking place. How the fuck are you communicating with each other? Only self-absorbed persons would start doing that shit because they love the noise, the constant humming of a noise. It's like being in a cafeteria. You know, me and Charles, we must have this conversation at a concert in front of the speakers.
It's like my ears are always ringing. You gotta hear noise all the time. I always hear a ringing sound in my ears all the time.
Mm-hmm. I gotta be fair to noise. There could be useful noise, and there's other noise that might be very disturbing noise, but all of them do serve. All of a sudden you hear a train is like closer than it used to be. Well, maybe I'm standing on train tracks. I do like the logo, by the way, Charles.
Yeah, I didn't create it. It's from this guy in Hartford, Connecticut, created a clothing line back in the 90s called Heaven or Hell. And this is the logo to it. And I seen him. I didn't realize the guy was from Hartford, Connecticut. Because I remember this clothing line, and I seen a mural. They made this big mural in the middle of the city, and it said "Rest in peace" to the heaven and hell guy. And yeah, that's when I figured out. I said, "Holy shit!" I had to look it up. I said, "Man, he's from Connecticut."
Maybe that's what
You
the
know,
term as above, so below means, heaven and hell.
huh?
Maybe that's what as above, so below means. Maybe it's heaven and hell, the ideal of heaven and hell.
Yeah. Or I look at it in a micro macro perspective too.
Mhm.
Um, when I say on my song, I said, "The truth will set you free." I mean, setting myself free and being true to myself set me free. I think one day I'm gonna do a breakdown of my 2 tracks that I play so people can understand them more. They'll look at them in a different light if I explain what I'm talking about.
Well, the concept of truth, I have to my awareness, came from the story that's written in Revelation. And they talk about something on a horse, and supposedly it was named the truth. This is why some esoteric folks talk about the energy called truth. Same with the energy called love, where other people think if they speak it, therefore that must be it. I said, well, isn't the truth supposed to be something on a horse? And supposedly somebody was like a witness to it. That's the story of Jesus. You know, when people hear about stories like being taken up in the spirit, think about when people do any kind of brain altering substances like ayahuasca or hemp. Aren't you being taken up in the spirit into the unknown through air, through prana, whatever word we give to it? So to know the truth and it's going to set you free would imply that you're in a realm that you can't get out on your own accord, with your own will. This is why the Muslims, or Islamic Muslims actually, because there's the Islamic part of it, where they talk about submission of the will. So you've been given a will, but now do you want to submit that will to something else? The ideal of bringing the word free in it, of course, like anything else, you give it a label like secret or free energy, free will. No, that's just to distract the masses. It's energy. Does it reproduce itself? Maybe, possibly, yes. Same with the will. How do you use your will? Do you use it for betterment, or worse? You know, just to say
You use
free.
your will willingly, huh?
Yeah, yeah, willingly, yeah. Again, the concept of free will, especially when I'm picking up people's energy, what I'm getting from them is they're very disobedient. They don't want to take accountability for the will, so they just say the word free will. If you're truly using the will, why would you have to say it? Your action would validate what you do in the dark, kind of ideal. But for most people, if not a lot of people, especially when you're on these kind of platforms, they have to justify themselves. I'm like, okay, so who are you trying to justify? Is there a parent? Is there a friend or a community member that's not on the panel that you're really trying to justify, and you're using me as the muse? Well, I just don't like the way you're talking, Dom. Okay. So if I was under a robot, what would you like me to talk about? Sports? You want to talk about religion? You want to talk about hating governments, loving strippers? What word do you want to use to please yourself? Because it's always about them, Charles, whether they're aware of it or not. I just know that about myself. I just try to fake it till I make it. I try not to make it about me when I'm on these kind of panels. I try to make it very general, talk about topics. Now, I know that maybe not be fair on my part because I know there's topics that has nothing to do with what I'm sharing. I said, only because you think so. I just haven't gone a complete circle yet now to show you it does relate with that topic. For a lot of people, they just want things done. They don't want to know how it gets to that point. Just fix my car. But don't you want to understand? Because it's a simple fix. So down the road, you can actually fix it yourself. No, I don't want to do that. I said, but you're a Christian, aren't you? Well, yeah. You want me to catch the fish for you, or supposed to teach you how to catch your own fish? Well, that's different, Dom. Well, then at that point, everything's different. At that point, Charles, inside, I'm laughing to no end.
No, I
I'm
just
just saying,
laughed because it's true.
no, it is.
I would rather learn to fix it myself. Me, I'm the type of person that I like to learn. You know, I'd rather do it myself anyway to get it done right. That's how I see it. Or not to get it done right, but I don't know. I'm just the type that I want to do things on my own. You know, I would rather fix the room up and tear the sheetrock down and do it myself. You know, even though I know Peace J Heighten, I already know how to do all that work. I'm always wanting to learn more and more. Um,
Which is
even
great,
when
Charles. Go ahead, Charles.
I just was gonna end it, even when my friend fixed my brakes, I told him, "Look, I'm gonna watch you do one side, and I did the other side myself while he watched to make sure I didn't make any mistakes. I wanted to learn myself, so next time I could do it myself. But yeah, you're right. Some people don't care to learn anything.
Well, they do. So to be of service to another person, it's a bit of both there, Charles, where your friend is helping you. He's going to do it for you, but you choose, because you've chosen, that you want to learn and actually how to do it yourself. So he's being a service in different ways now. Unfortunately, this is where fiat currency comes into it now. Most people want their comforts opposed to being able to be more, you know, being a sovereign for themselves as best as they can. So what they end up doing is they'll work and learn a whole bunch of stuff to know how to obtain fiat currency, but yet not respect the back end of it, meaning that somebody now is going to cook and prepare your foods for you. Now they might turn around and say, yeah, but I don't like the way they're preparing it for me. So we'll then do less of earning fiat currency and learn yourself. You know, even the information that we're doing right now, Charles, we didn't create this. We're using it. I didn't create the Wi-Fi, let alone the laptop, let alone the books. So we are hopefully, well, can't say hopefully, what we've lost is to be interdependent with each other. We've become so dependent on these devices that we're not truly using our ability with it. So, okay, so, you know, it's like me, I'm being an electrician. Well, some people will say, Dominic, how much is it going to cost? I said, you live in an age now where all that information's out on YouTube. Especially when I pick up from them, they want something for nothing. I said, no, do your due diligence. You want something for nothing. What do you mean? I'm going to pay you. I said, no. Information. Go figure out how much it costs to do electrical work, how long it might take, and what's involved. I do that with mechanics. I do that with painting. I do even do that when I'm online with all this other kind of stuff. I choose to do that. That's what the age of information can offer. But for a lot of us, they don't realize, but do you want to learn how to cook? I said, I could if I wanted to. I might not be good at it. Might have to have 911 on speed dial. But other people do it. And I appreciate that. You know, being truly grateful. It doesn't mean just because you say it in words only. It's your energy that you give to it. You know, people that cook foods because they enjoy being of service is a different type of food and energy than opposed to a person that, yeah, it's just a job now. Fuck, I've lost a flavor for this a long time ago. I've even lost a flavor of chasing money for it. Oh, okay, so then you're not truly there to be of service. And when you're not truly being of service, guess what's going to rule over you now? Your anger, your hate, your
I was
disgust.
just gonna say self will roll over you.
Mm-hmm. And that serves too, Charles. But unfortunately, people twist it so much that, you know, they wonder why. Well, the governments don't give a damn about me. I said, do you give a damn about your neighbor? Well, no. Then why would you worry about what the government does? It's like when I always find this humorous when people say, Dom, the elite families, they don't care about me. I said, well, you're in a family. Do you care about anybody else's family? Well, no. I said, then why would somebody in their fucking family give a shit about you, especially when they're ruling? That's a clever game that a child's playing, and they're trying to pretend to be an adult. Now, people don't want to hear that because people don't want to listen inwards. Because if they were truly listening inwards, whatever's running that program inside of you is going to fucking rip a hole in you. Say that finally you're going to pay attention to me. Well, most people want to do, Charles. I can't say most. That's what we're generalizing. Where some people do actually, they're looking for outside sources to validate and justify their agreements and their disagreements, opposed to entertaining anything outside of those two parameters and say, maybe I'm short-sighted. Maybe there's more information I can learn. Sure, there is. You know, a child that if I ask her, said, do you see the glass half full, half empty? Someone will say, I see the glass half full, half empty. I said, those children are already asleep. It's the one that turned around and said, Dom, can I talk about the painting behind the table? Yeah, go right ahead, young man. Can I talk about what's in the glass? Sure you can. Dom, can I tell you that I don't even see the words that I speak? I said, you're an aware being. You're by far more superior than most fucking human beings will ever be in one lifespan. The flat earth and globe is the half full, half empty glass. That's all that is. It's a game. Guys that go around saying I'm a flat earther. I said, you're like the fucking ones that go around saying I'm a Christian.
I'll
Get the
never
fuck out
forget
of here. Yeah, Christians.
when,
And then the ones, go ahead, Charles.
no, I'll never forget when someone asked me about the half full, half empty, and I said, what's the difference? They're both the same. I mean, I wasn't looking, like, they were like, it depends how you look at it. But to me, I just seen it as being the same. Half full, half empty, it's halfway. But, yeah, it's because I wasn't looking at it.
But they're not asked, again, they're not making it about you. Ask the person, why did you ask me that question? People never know enough to ask the question back. That's where it goes about whoever leads should follow. To be one's true leader, you have to be one's true follower. So when somebody asks a question, you ponder it and say, okay, he's asked a question. I don't have that thought, but now I've received that thought. I'm going to ask it back. Why did you ask me that question? Well, no. Why did you ask me that question? That's a philosophy question now. Why? Because most people don't realize either A, and most people aren't doing this aware, they're being clever. That's why a guy goes from being smart to clever opposed to being wise. The wise one's going to say, you want me to rule over the masses. Why? How would that serve me? And how would that serve them? So you want a whole bunch of people that are going to be blind and you want me to lead them because I have one eye? Fuck that noise. Because that's exactly what that would eventually be. Now, they might not learn immediately. They might learn it after 50 or 60 years and realize, fuck, that's been noise the whole time. You know, anytime a person asks a question, it's always safe to say back, why did you ask it? Well, I need to know. I said, you need to know. Interesting. So my life's that fucking important that you need to know how to answer your fucking question? That's waste of energy at that point. But I'll gladly entertain ideals. You want to talk about the sun and the moon? Okay. I see material here. Do you think those two things up in the sky are material? Well, I don't know. I said, then we can entertain ideals now. Well, Dom, I know for sure. Really? So how do you know for sure that those objects in the sky are material? Is that NASA that's telling you that? Is it a book that's telling you that? When last time you were in a plane, did you jump out of the fucking plane and try to land on the moon? Well, no. How do you know? Because after knowing, that's the fucking baby step. That's where most people are fucking stuck. Because they just go a little bit from belief system to knowing. Then how are you going to understand that? Because then you would have to use wisdom, discernment. Well, Dom, there's no way I can know that. I said, good for you. You're welcome to the club. There's no way you can know that. But a whole bunch of people are talking. I say, yeah, those are the noisy folks. They're talking. You're going to use the same information from NASA to denounce that the Earth is flat or it's going to be fucking it's circle or whatever, because they're using the moon and the sun as their gauge to determine whether or not the Earth is globe or not. I'm thinking, but I don't see nothing down here that's up there. So how the fuck can I prove that?
Did you jump out the plane and try to land on the moon? I thought about that before when I was young.
Was a cow with you too? And was it half a moon?
Oh. Yeah, why do they say that? The moon.
The moon, Luna D, for Monday. I get it. Those are signs in the skies. Now, can some people read the signs? Yes. You know, you got to give kudos to the ones that understand signs, you know, and how some of the words have been kind of foreseen from the past to the future. Again, that plays with the ideal of what we think time is then. Just because we have memory and recording does not give an indication that's time. And just because we have a clock in the watch and we use fucking numbers to gauge it doesn't mean that's time. We can entertain the ideal. You know, that's why when I use the word life and afterlife, what is that? Why are we called three-dimensional beings? I don't know, Don. We just say that shit. Okay. Okay. More words.
No, I downloaded this video. This guy was showing, he was on the airplane. Let me see if I can find this thing here. I just downloaded it. Hold on.
I love the pics that you share, Charles. There's so many meanings behind all these pics. You speculate all day on this kind of picture.
Hopefully I could find this pretty quick without having to look for a century. Here it is. Bam! So the guy was, let me take this picture off. I'll show these pictures in a minute. I'm just so into esoteric stuff. I don't know why, but I'm drawn to it. I don't know if you've seen this video, this real quick video. This is from the New Haven Police Department, Dom. Listen to this.
The city we have the traffic cameras that we have now can read license plates, and they can track the car with each camera. We have a bunch of cameras in the city on the major intersections, and every single street leading into the city has these cameras on them, and they read the license plates. So you're not gonna enter or leave the city without us knowing about it. So with that type of technology, realistically, I don't see that policy as a negative thing.
All right. Here's that video.
Please can someone help explain how on this flight the moon is below the horizon?
Yeah, that's odd. I never seen the moon that low.
Quite some
I've seen
way.
videos of the people in the plane. The pilot was showing the sun in the clouds. Now, I think that's very possible. The sun moves like a serpent, up, down, on its 360 journey. I never seen the moon that low. That could be that's weird. Huh. I can't explain that.
Well, the guy's also on a device that's really, really heavy in tonnage. And how does that work? You know, the whole ideal of an airplane is fascinating too. But yeah, I get it. They're seeing different perceptions of where the moon is or isn't. That opens the question: what is the moon? Is it an image of some sort?
How about the sun? You ever notice like the sun will look low, and then let's say people go up in the airplane, it gets higher. It's like you're not getting close to it. You get every time you try to go upwards and closer to the sun, it gets farther and farther. Like I don't think it's like getting farther. It's just something with the perspective, and it's I can't explain it if you know what I mean. Like let's say the sun looks like it's in the clouds, and then you fly up in the airplane, and it's not. It's above. I don't know. I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like maybe the sun is a reflection. I always pictured a laser onto a mirror. You know, you ever seen a laser when you point at a mirror? Maybe the sun is it. I personally don't think the sun is solid, neither the moon.
Charles, we're going to use our limited comprehension and our language to try to describe it. Like I could use the idea that the sun is a magnet of some sort. And then, you know, because my awareness, you know, when years ago I did the experiment, you know, jumping out of a plane, did parachuting, I noted the fact that the air pressure and also why is it cold up there? So now when I'm sitting on a beach or somewhere down here and I'm feeling heat, I'm like, but wait a second here, it's colder up there than down here. Once you start entertaining the ideal of magnet, hence as above, so below, If there's another magnet that's just as powerful, or whatever it is, again, I'm using our comprehension ability to try to describe something. So now, if a person understands two polarities that are pulled together and you're in the middle, think about like people, don't wish that upon them, but if you ever get zapped by 347, it generates what's called heat. So now once you understand that, then you can entertain another ideal. I don't have a clear-cut answer. That would be very narrow and erroneous on my part, because I'm using a language that's been programmed in me, and I'm using thoughts that aren't mine. So when people see something like what the moon is, the moon to me could just be nothing but a high-tech satellite. You know, it's like when people sit in a car and they're wondering, okay, well, how does GPS work in my car? I have this little fucking device. Where's it picking up all that information from? You know, like that police officer's talking about, you know, there's technology he probably didn't create. He's just trying to explain to another human being that they can track your license plate. Well, you also have within there, most cars now have a computer on there. You know, but think about different properties. How does gold stay the way it does? And what do you have to do to change it from gold to into like a solid to a liquid? But do you change now gold into a tree? No. So there has to be certain laws, literally the word laws, not the way men call it policies, that keep all that intact.
Laws. Land, air, water, space.
Yeah, that's what I use it for. But again, you know, most people will call, it's like northeast, west, south, news. You know, again, those are acronyms of 4 opposed to acronyms 3. But when people go to court and all that, I'm going to stop it because I'm jumping around now. So again, when we're looking at something like the moon, what is it then? You know, some people will describe its shape. It's a spherical thing. Okay, fine. Do we ever see the other side of the sun? And even if we do, how does that serve to know that? See, a lot of times we chase things that on a practical level, it doesn't serve you in the here and now, unless a person wants to entertain their intellectual or they really want to have an argument with their emotions. You know, that's why NASA, whatever they're doing, they're probably going to give us on this side of the stage what we need to hear or see or be entertained. But behind the scenes, they're probably doing things that, you know, this is how technology comes to be. Somebody that's trying to better this realm. Now, some people might say, well, I don't like that. I said, I never said anything about you. I just said they're here to better this realm. You just happen to play, you're a guest in this realm. You can call you're imprisoned. You can say you're a guest. You can say you're just like a backpacker. You're backpacking throughout the earth. Okay. And then most of us will have these small little conversations. Everybody go back to sleep, and then they start talking about shit that fucking really, it's the same old, same old. Who won the Super Bowl? Who won the Kardashians? You know, who won the global? You know, on some other movie or whatever. And that's fine.
Superb owl.
You know, and then people can even play other ideas. Well, there's hidden messages. You know, there's all these hidden messages in the Super Bowl. Yeah, of course, there might be, and they're probably talking among themselves. You know, and we as, here we go.
Huh?
Oh no, I'm just reading what you wrote there, Sir Charles. Why has such knowledge been hidden from humanity? I don't think it's about humanity as much as what rules within what's within humanity. You know, because then you can say,
I didn't create this. This is just a picture I downloaded. Go ahead, Doc.
No, I get it, Charles. Most stuff that you post it's not ours to own. It's ours just to share with each other. So I'm thinking, okay, are we to assume that other knowledge is not hidden from the animal species? I'm pretty sure there's some people, humanity obviously understands the structure of certain things, but why is it really hidden from the rest of humanity, or it just wouldn't serve the rest of humanity? Like to know that information, opposed to, Dom, I just know how to work a car. I don't need to know how steel came to be. You know, if people are being honest with the self, people aren't gonna, like my parents aren't gonna be concerned about how a plane works or doesn't work. They just need to use it. If they're being honest with themselves, and that's a form of humbleness, or they're just busy, living another lifespan. Who gave us the ideal of how to do all the brain altering substances? Who did give us the technology, how to make a boat? For the masses, Charles, that's of no interest. For the few, which could be millions of people, it could be. But then even that, you have to break among them each other. So why are you doing it? Are you trying to write another book? Fuck, we already got too many books. Are you going to do another podcast? We already got a shitload of podcasts. But it is what it is. People are going to still do the same thing over and over again. We're always trying to sell our wares.
This is a nice,
Maybe that's what people see when they get into ayahuasca experience, all the different colors and maybe some pictures.
yeah, I need a spiritual journey myself. I want to use it for, to look within myself, spiritual journey. Because when I did it when I was 18 and 19, around that age, I'll never forget, it was blue caps, and me and my friend, I was still in high school, man. Shit, I think I was in 11th grade. My friend was over the summer. I was working, and I think it was my day off. And he's like, you want to try mushrooms? We both ate a whole quarter. It's my first time, and I wasn't obtaining the wisdom I have now to use it as a tool to look within myself deeper. It's like, I think now that I'm older, I have more wisdom. It'll be a different journey than when I was younger and childish.
Hey, Charles, have you ever seen, they'll show you depictions of somebody, a professor, inside of a big classroom, and they have this big chalkboard in the back. They have all this mathematical equation in the background.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a good chance all that's full of shit.
I've thought that before, because what is all that math, I think math is used for measurements, whether it's time or cutting, it's all man-made.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of it all? That's what I used to think. Like, what does any of that stuff matter? Yeah.
No, it could derive to an answer, but all that other stuff could just be like hocus pocus, like, okay, this is one part of the maze, this is another part. We'll throw a couple of A's over some Z, square 4A. These are stories that we give each other. And into all of that, there's a little bit of a spin doctrine going on. But then again, for a person that says, but that doesn't serve me, well, then that could be full of shit for you. Now, shit is something that could be fertilizer, and you could plant a seed, hopefully your own seed. But we do share with each other, and that information should be taken with a grain of salt. And to say, okay, so how does that serve? It'll be like, people that want to play with magic. Whether it does or doesn't exist, I always entertain both. Whether it does or doesn't. So once I put that both in the same room, then I can entertain the ideal. If I don't think that magic exists, then why would I have the fucking conversation? And if I do exist, well, then why don't I just do the works? But if I'm willing to entertain the ideal that somebody's telling me that it does exist, I said, okay, so go ahead, share. And how does that serve you? Well, Dom, you're not going to understand. I said, I already told you. I'm going to hear you. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. You understand it. So share with me. Let me fucking derive whether or not I understand that. I hate when people fucking speak on behalf of other people. That's fucking noise and wasted energy. That's a clever little twit talking out loud. So just share. So in that particular case, these are pictures. Who gives her these pictures and for what purpose? You know, and if that person no longer exists, the person that's giving me the picture, okay, so you've done the work. How does this picture inspire you? Are you inquiring about certain things about it? Are you trying to make sense of all this kind of stuff? Because, you know, the senses are very limited. It's like talking to a seer. A seer has a vision that somebody's going to pass away in the next couple of days. Is it their responsibility to tell the other person? It could be if they're confident enough to say, listen, I'm telling you because you have a chance that you can put everything in order before you move. Now, they might get upset, but I don't want to die. I said, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just sharing some information with you. What you do with it, that's up to you. And if down the road other people heard this and that person did pass away, he's a seer. If it didn't, he's just full of shit, which is fine. We're too quick to judge opposed to reserving and pondering things. And so, interesting, I'll note that. You know, there's a reason why we say the word note. No different, what color is it? You know, a lot of this information that we share with each other, even when we reflect back on our own memories, what were the luminaries lined up at that moment? It's like the date of birth. Why do we have a concept called date of birth? Because there was alignments happening during that day. You just happened to be birthed in that day. Yeah, but I'm a Virgo. No, you're not. You were just aligned in that fucking day. And then it manifests itself. And then it can grow legs. And you should be able to question those things from within.
Yeah, I like looking at pictures. Wild thing is when I was younger, I would look at books just for the pictures. I don't know how many people do that, but I wasn't into reading. I actually hated reading when I was younger. I could never find a book that I would enjoy and get so into it like a TV show. Or I actually started reading more about 7 years ago, maybe 8. Is when I really started to enjoy reading from the Manly P. Hall book. But other than that, I didn't see any point in reading for so many years. Probably a good 35 years. No, 33, something like that. But I like pictures. I don't know what it is. I could stare at pictures.
Well, we're visual creatures, Charles, too. So whether it's watching pictures in the form of magazines like sports magazines, Playboy magazines, other magazines, what would be the example? Teen magazines. Some people lean first more about understanding things visually opposed to the written work. So it sounds like later in your development, you've chosen that you want to be able to read things to try to make sense of things. Where other people, it's more of a visual thing. You know, a lot of people that watch TV shows or movies are watching the show for the way it's designed. Of course, there's background music going on too and all that. And then other people try to see some of the messages that's within that. It's like looking at an artist's painting. Many people will have thousands of different interpretation of what the artist actually did, but dare not ask the artist that's in the room, what were you going with that? And of course, some people's first impression is lasting impression. Since they made up their own story, the other story of the artist telling them won't live up to it.
You know what I was thinking, Dom? I'm going to see if I can, when I have my hotspot on Monday, maybe Sunday night, I'm going to download an app for chess and see if I can play a chess game on a live stream, you know, just for fun. I haven't played in years, but I mean, once you learn chess and you become very good at it, it's like riding a bike. It's not like, you know, building a house. I mean, it is, but you know, I like chess. It's a very good game that keeps your mind sharp, thinking ahead and studying your opponent keeps the mind super sharp. Yeah, you could do that, Bex. I didn't even think of doing it that way. I think a lot of the fiction is actually truth hidden in plain sight. They just call it fiction. Not all of it, but a good amount of it. Like Jack and the Beanstalk. I kind of look at this realm as being the land of the giants, 12 and 14 feet tall. There's more evidence to prove 12 and 14 feet tall people than titans. You know, and I'm not saying titans didn't exist. I just don't know. But I'm sure if there's Shaquille O'Neal was 7 feet, and then there was a guy from Europe that was 9 feet 6. I forgot. I have a picture of him. Made Shaq look like a freaking midget. This guy was 9 feet and some change. So what's another 3 or 4 feet? You know, to make 12 and 14 feet. Shout out to Divergent. He found a painting. I still can't find that one painting. I found plenty of paintings that have giant people in them, but not like the one he found, where it's this tall British soldier. You could tell he was at least 12 feet tall. And it was an awesome painting he came across. I wish this was the full painting. I have to find it. I didn't even know that was a flyer.
So Charles, as you're talking about calling this based on stature, opposed to when people used to say things like about giants, where there could be people that were giants in the form of wisdom and understanding. They were beyond the masses. Like when you think about somebody on a stature, most people between 5 to 6 feet tall. And then there's people that stand above them, and then there's people below in height-wise. But yet, think about people that are very intellectual, very emotional, developed, people that understood the signs in the skies. They would have been what some people call the wise folks of the realm. Again, most people are caught up in the material, so they assume more times when they hear the word giants, they're literally talking about people of stature. That's
Yeah, I've heard of the concept where they drew people, you know, double or triple the size to show that they were the ruler. That's a possibility.
No different if you're able to harness, let's say, certain liquids like gold, and you can consume it or absorb it. You would be like a computer. You can actually have a processor going on within you. That's why it's a conduit of some sort. That's why some of the Egyptians, they would discover that about certain people that they had in their realm, in this case during that time, and they'd realize, you know, you're above the rest of us. You're just you understand things. Like most of us aren't going to understand how it came to be, let alone who made Wi-Fi. But among us, there's probably beings that understand that. No different when people write scripts for TV shows and movies. They're scribes. Who are they? What are they channeling? Who's giving them that information kind of idea? Is that their gift? Are they the medium between the unknown and the known? You know, the known realm opposed to the unknown realm. We could have other realms. We just don't see them.
What do you think this picture is trying to describe? I've always been intrigued by this picture.
A lot of hands grabbing all kinds of fruits. Apples with the other ones, oranges.
6 of them, which could maybe be.
What is this? There's a 7th one up there. I see another one at the top there, Charles.
Oh yeah, yep. 7 wandering stars. Then at the bottom, they got the triangles for male and female, or it almost looks. What's the other? The fire and the elements. The triangle up is the earth is the triangle down. I know that, right? That's the female. So the triangle up would be fire. Because I know air. I don't know. I gotta remember this stuff. I don't know what this.
Jokingly, maybe that's an Uber signal for what type of pizza they want.
Huh.
Obviously,
Kinda
Charles, you put a lot
Kinda
of
looks
pictures that
like-
have a lot of message. My apologies.
It looks like 2 balls on a penis.
Sorry, Charles.
Yeah, the tree of life. We're all grown ups here. I hope so.
A lot of messages in there, Charles. And of course, I could speculate on all of them. Again, whoever gave this did this drawing obviously are giving messages. It's like a different form of way of communicating.
Danny Skylark says it reminds me of the scriptures of the first fruit and the dropping from the left or the right fallopian tube. Interesting. Yeah, and it also does look like the woman's reproductive system if you use the top part where the tree is, because in the woman's reproduction system there is the tree of life and the placenta. That's why I said it looks like a penis with 2 testicles, and then if you look at it from the top down, you could put the placenta in there. So now you have the 2 reproductive organs which create life. Then that would create the family tree, which is also shown here, a tree from the roots. No. I guess you could look at this in so many ways. It would be sweet if I could get the fallopian tube, the woman's reproductive organ, and line it up. I bet you it would line up with that tree. Good eye, Danny Skylark. That's awesome. That's why I like other people to look at these pictures too. I think this has to do more with magic. All right, no problem. This is one of my favorite pictures right here. I said this the other day. I'm also trying to find the PDF that that tells the story of when fire meets ice. I heard there's a very good story. I want to see if I could find that. I might as well play this real quick. This is in Canada, I think, the island where they faked the moon. I mean, Mars. Devon Island. Yeah, they're liars. Liar, liar, your globe's on fire. Yeah, I had to get rid of that picture. You need 8-star tetrahedrons put together to make a 64 tetrahedron grid, which forms 2 octaves of the vector equilibrium, a geometry called a cubic tehedron nested inside each other. If you make 2 phi, I can't read that other part, sign, from a central point, each in opposite directions, their interesting points outline the nodal points of the star tetrahedron. This is showing how matter is created from the holographic mental projector of our reality. The God. This is why the symbol for the heart chakra also shows the hexagram, for we are all anchored to our Creator by our ethereal hearts. I'm going to take this picture, and one day I'm going to zoom in and really go over this awesome occult anatomy poster. And this is kind of like the reproductive organ of a woman, sort of. What is shaking? Eating bait. The snake on the tree is symbolic for energy. Yes, moving up the spine. Yep. The negative and positive serpents, the 2 serpents. That's why the true serpent on the cross was Jesus, is the serpent on the cross. See, Christians, if they really truly were into the knowledge and wisdom of symbols and stuff, they wouldn't let all the fair and spooky they put into stuff. They talk about fighting evil, right? How can you fight an evil you know nothing of? They don't even know their enemy, right? Their so-called enemy, Satan, or they haven't read no satanic books. They don't even know how these people move, what spells to look out for, what could be cast against them. They have no idea. They're blindly fighting an enemy they know nothing of. And that's another problem. And the only enemy they're fighting is within themselves. Peace, faceplant. And I'm not attacking, you know, anyone individually or any religion. Any religion. Like, there is no enemy to fight. The only person that they're fighting is their self. It's a war within their self. Face plant is in the building. My apologies the other day, Faceplant, when you were up on the panel. I was jumping off. I was pissed, and I didn't realize until I went back and watched, and you were like, mic check? But it was too late. I already had etched out. Well, that's nice. The truth hurts, even if it's spoken in spurts. I'm gonna spit some rhyme. Pull out the poetry. Let's see what I've been writing. It's probably a bunch of poop. Throw up the W, reflecting the M. West Main General in the state of Zen. Casting spells with movements of my pen. The spoken word is mightier than your sword. The message is delivered when I hit record. Soldiers of light and dark as one will form. Everything is formed from the one energy that emits power split into polarity. That's all I got. I said, the government manufactures heroes like Trump and Shapiro. I didn't finish it. YouTube streets linger narcissistic snakes. Mental health issues, all the problems they create. I didn't finish that. I will though, I will. Oh, now I'm a bot. I'm not mocking nobody. Religion's a waste of time, in my opinion. All those fake fucks are a thorn in the lion's paw. Strong as oxen, boxing, breaking iron jaws. People quick to talk shit then call the law. Pederasty politicians and tenacious cults. Insidious narcissism, skeletons hidden in bolts. It's thrown in their face, propaganda campaigns. Karma they will embrace with severe pain. Surgical master, using instruments so arcane. The good old book says it's an eye for an eye. Law has no equality when real justice is applied. Turn my back to the isms only to be crucified. The polarity of truth and lies. Two angels on my shoulders, good and evil. At war in my mind, thoughts are being upheavaled. Playing tug of war, people go out of their way to tear down and discredit. You can't take back what's done, reality you can't edit. Accountability is needed, why turn your cheek? Why turn your cheek? When you're weak appear strong, when strong appear weak. Look what happened to this realm when inherited by the meek. I carried the cross and danced with the devil. This German brother grim, no Hansel and Gretel. I become water, always balanced and level. I think Faceplant doesn't like Chuck, man. I think he has some inner discernment against me or something. Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about, Faceplant. But if people ever have anything they want to say to me, they always can come up and say it. I don't understand people. I don't. I'm right here. People can come up and explain themselves. I sure as hell don't want to argue with no one. And I'm not going to waste my energy with arguments and name calling. But if anyone has a problem with me, I would sure like to know why. And that goes for anyone. Not saying anyone does have a problem. I'm just being straight up. If people have a problem with me, talk to me behind the scenes. I'm not hard to find. I'm pretty sure you could find my number. But I got none but love and respect for everybody. You know, I'm not attacking. I didn't even know that Faceplant was a Christian. But I don't have no problems with Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, whatever religion people want and choose to use. That's their choice. I have a problem with the hypocritical stuff that's applied when preachers speak and how they use the book as a tool to manipulate people. Why can't people accept that fact that that book is used to manipulate people? Show me proof that there's a son that's going to return. This almighty Son of God, right? There's no proof. None. Zero. Zippity doo dah. But anyway. Yeah, the good old book says it's an eye for an eye. The law has no equality when real justice is applied. They say it's domestic. What is it? Foreign and domestic. But there's more domestic terrorism than foreign. Hypocritical garbage. Anyway, there's going to be a lot of change coming to this channel.
Sorry about that, Charles. I was off.
No, I was just speaking on, I don't know, every time I speak on like Christian religion, Faceplant seems to be annoyed by it or something. I don't know.
Mm.
Yeah, I think maybe some people have a personal issue with me or something. Maybe I'm wrong, but I always tell people if they have a personal issue, they can speak to me like a man or a woman. Behind, it don't
Sure.
even have to be out in the open. It could be personal. I'm sure as hell not going to sit and argue about anything, and I'm not out to put anyone below me like I'm better than them. I think when I point stuff out in religions, people take it very personal, and that's part of the psychological war that they train you to. When you speak against what they so-called beliefs, they're trained to defend it blindly. They don't even realize it. Thank you, Crystal. I really appreciate that. At least somebody.
Charles, I guess if you don't, I'm off, guys. Sorry, Charles. I got to take off anyway. Sorry, apologies. I was going to just say one thing on this note. It challenges one's own belief if they value the concept of right or wrong. If you don't, then you can entertain and ask them what they did value. Why do they think something's right or wrong? So sorry about that, Charles. I'm kind of short with time here today.
That's
My
cool.
energy. So enjoy yourself, okay, Charles?
Yes, thank you, Dom. I appreciate you coming up. That was a great, almost 3 hours. That was awesome. But yeah, I guess I'll end it here. This was a good time, and I appreciate everyone in the chat. And I hope y'all have a great day. Much love and respect to everybody, and I'll check y'all next time, man. Yeah, you could do that, Bex, if you want. Peace, Kimba. I'll check y'all later tomorrow.